And so here Jesus stands before these Pharisees. Jesus stood on earth in that spot, mercy incarnate. His sacrifice for sinners was the ultimate act of mercy, was it not? The ultimate act of compassion, the ultimate act of love. True. But listen, His journey to the cross was filled with demonstrations of compassion. His mercy and compassion didn't begin on the cross. In fact, in the incident we're looking at, He even permitted His hungry disciples to pick grain and eat on the Sabbath. And He didn't say, hey, don't do that. People are going to misunderstand. People aren't going to understand. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, He showed mercy. And often He healed on the Sabbath. In fact, I forget the numbers, but I think almost every healing that Jesus did was on a Sabbath. That's everything He did on the Sabbath. Just about everything He did on the Sabbath included healing, would be a better way of saying it. And had the Pharisees understood mercy, this encounter would have not happened. Isn't that what Jesus says? He says that in verse 7, but if you had known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless. We wouldn't be having this conversation right now. As I think back over my life, I'm convicted right here. And boy, I'm glad my thoughts cannot be beamed on a screen right now. Because there are some things I thought, even this last week, where I believe that I have been guilty of the same thing these Pharisees were guilty of. There have been times where I would have said, do not have that surgery on Sunday. Why can't you wait till Monday? Why couldn't you do it on Saturday? And we're going to continue reading here in a moment in verses 9 through 14. That withered hand was not a life-threatening deal. Right? He could have pushed it forward in order to preserve the sacredness of that day. But He's saying something to us. Mercy. Mercy. Be willing to show mercy. And before you're quick to judge, regardless of what your view of the Sabbath, the Lord's Day, first day, no day, regardless of what read Romans 14 again. Let's not condemn, let's not judge. But at the very least, how about thinking the best, and how about cutting slack, and how about going to the person and seeing, or thinking this way, surely there's a reason why they're doing what they're doing the way they're doing it. Mercy. That's the way Jesus was. And then in verse 8, He says, boy, this what a clincher for. For, He's given, because, this is the explanation. For the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. Who is the Son of Man? He is mercy. He's mercy incarnate. He's Lord, even under the law. This is true. The law being fulfilled, it's still true. I started to say more true, but how can it be more true? That's who He is. That's who He's always been. Jesus could not have been more bold or offensive in stating what He states here. I mean, think about it. He is standing there before these men. And what did He look like? You heard it in the last hour. Did he look like something special? No, He looked like a man. And He's standing there before these Pharisees and saying, for the Son of Man. Do you think they knew who He was referring to? He was talking about, I think so. This is one of the things that moved them ultimately when He did what He did in healing. It just sort of was a straw that broke the camel's back. But at that point, they began to plot how to destroy Him. And the rest of the gospel is going to be this kind of contentious encounter with these Pharisees on His way to the cross. For the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath. Do you hear what he's doing here? He's giving a reason for absolving. He just said in verse 7, you would not have condemned the guiltless. He's saying, my disciples are not guilty. What gives you the right to say that? Oh, man. I'll tell you what gives me the right to say that. Jesus is saying, I am the Son of Man. And as the Son of Man, I'm the Lord of the Sabbath. Who gave the law? God did. Who is Jesus? And He's Lord of the Sabbath. He's Lord over that which He gave. Jesus is saying, I'm not only greater than Moses, which He is, I'm equal with God. And the Son of Man knows the intent of the Sabbath. The Son of Man knows how to interpret the law. Listen to Him. You see, the Sabbath does not overshadow Jesus. It never was intended to overshadow Jesus. But if you're driven by ritualistic religion, that's exactly what happens. No, it was a shadow that pointed to Him. A person, not a day. A person. Listen, what is the source of true everlasting rest? It's not a day. It's a person. Now, what happened on a day? Yeah, this is the day the Lord hath made. The resurrection day. That day. As it was observed, said the Sabbath, as it was observed under the Old Covenant for 1,500 years, pointed to the redemption, and I was saying pointing, it pointed back, but it pointed forward to the redemption and the restoration of the seventh day rest that was lost in Adam. Had Adam not sinned, we would have been living in an eternal rest. But that rest was broken in the sin of Adam. But it is restored in the last Adam. It's restored in Jesus Christ. And He's saying this. I am the fulfillment. And the fulfillment renders the shadow unnecessary.